sorry. With the, after 7 o'clock, we'll call the January 26th meeting to order, and we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll try to sing with Jack.
I know.
I thought he was going to do the Stop Spangled Banner.
Oh, he's going to sing now? I'll hold the meeting. Okay. Agenda.
Mr. Chairman, we probably should announce that the remote participants, they can see us here. They need to know who's.
Yeah, we
also
are remote, what do you call it? Hybrid?
Hybrid. We have a hybrid. So in the room for commission members, we have Sean McDonough, Chairman Louis Napoli, and Joseph Lynch. And on the call is Tony Capicetti and Jack Maven. And we are expecting Al Manzi at some point. He might be a little bit late. In person.
In person, live.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, first up, we'll have the approval of minutes for January 12th. Jack, did you read those?
Yes, I have. I've read the meeting minutes for January 12th, and I move that we approve them as drafted.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 I wasn't a-
And one abstention,
Okay.
All right, first order of business, 242-1787, 135 North Ramp Road. Request to continue to 2/9. We're just waiting for some test results.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1834, 35 Hollow Tree.
All right. Commission will recall that this project involves replacing a failing septic system. While on-site observing wetland flagging and reviewing the plan, an encroachment into the 25-foot no-disturb zone was observed, consisting of a gravel area with metal posts that support fabric netting. At the last meeting, the commission, not having a DEP file number, but also wanted to see the plan to reflect a restoration plan of the 25-foot no-disturb zone. We have that revised plan tonight. Removal of the stone and posts and enhancement plantings with a plant schedule. Let's see. The site contains natural heritage priority habitat, but none of the work is in that zone. The site also has FEMA flood zone, but none of the work is in that zone. So the commission was just basically waiting for that revised plan and a DEP file number. Commission could close and issue a decision.
Thank you. Joe?
I do have a question of, is this just a restoration of the system in a house that they're going to continue to live in, or is this part of a sale? And that we're going to have a conveyance of ownership and therefore conveyance of an order of conditions? Do we know?
So Thor Ackerley is with us. He's the wetland consultant for the project. Thor, do you have any idea?
Yep. Good evening, everyone. Thor Ackerley from Williamson's Barrages. They are planning to continue living there. They actually, when they purchased the house 17 years ago, they replaced the septic system then. Unfortunately, it's failed again. Infiltrators, unfortunately, tend to have a shorter lifespan than pipe and stone systems, but they do plan to continue living there.
All right, so we expect this order of conditions to be carried out by the current applicant, correct?
Correct.
I'm all set, thank you.
Well, to follow up on that one, Joe, they still got to do an as-built at some point, or it'll be an outstanding order, so if they go to sell it, they'll have an outstanding order.
That doesn't always go smoothly.
I
Just- but
know,
I'm-
I know,
I'm-
with it-
I'm happy with the answer we heard.
It's a nice thing to hang our hat on. And the restoration and the gravel thing is gonna be taken care of in the spring, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we discussed last meeting, and the order will incorporate that restoration plan and a deadline for that,
All right, thank you.
separate from any work on the septic.
Thank you, Sean.
No questions.
Jack?
To continue on that restoration plan, do we have the plan in hand?
Yeah, it's on the septic system plan that we received last meeting, and the engineer updated it to include a restoration plan.
Okay, you feel that they've complied with our
Yep.
request?
Yep.
Okay, I have no more questions.
Is Tony on the air?
Yeah, I have no questions.
Okay. So we need a motion.
I move that we close the hearing for 242-1835 Hollow Tree Lane and issue a decision in 21 days.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Sorry, opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
The next
Thanks,
one,
Thor.
we're gonna table 242-1692-1210 Osgood. Waiting for Mr. Manzi to fulfill the quorum. Next one is 268 RDA for Raleigh Tavern.
The homeowner and the...
Amy, I need to recuse myself from this
Oh,
one.
that's right, I'm sorry.
Jack,
refuses.
yep.
So actually, oh, no, Tony's with
No,
us.
Tony's
Okay,
here.
That's right. Okay, so the homeowner and the contractor has been pursuing the surveyor for an updated plan. He has been extremely backed up. They're asking for a continuance to March because the surveyor is on vacation until then. So I would suggest continuing to the second meeting in March, and if the commission feels that we need to start fining for lack of a revised plan, then we can do that. But it's kind of hard. They're at the mercy of their surveyor right now, so,
No, they're at the mercy of us.
yeah. Well,
All right, I have no problem with that. Do you, Joe or Sean? Jack, do you have a problem with continuing this? Oh, you can't?
Oh, you can't.
Tony, do you have a problem continuing?
Yeah, I have
this?
no problem continuing.
Okay, so we're gonna continue till March, what is it, Amy?
So move to the second.
second meeting in March.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. The
One
ANRAD
abstention.
And Jack
The
abstains.
ANRAD 242-1824-177, Great Farm Road, we're gonna table that one,
Yes,
because we're waiting for Mr. Mans.
yes.
The next one is 242-1735-1429 Osgood Street.
All righty, let me pull up the plan. All right. So the commission will recall, the order was issued in August of 2018, and it governs the reuse of an existing 21,000 square foot commercial building and associated pavement and parking area. Interior and exterior renovations were proposed, including parking, vehicle access, landscaping, stormwater drainage improvements, utility upgrades, and material storage areas. Due to the tolling of all permits during the COVID-19 state of emergency, this order is now due to expire on November 28th of 2022. So there's a calculation that we do, and it adds 400-something days to each permit. So it pretty much froze the permits and then added it when the emergency was lifted. The order was modified in May of 2019, allowing a landscape area to be paved and a rain garden expanded, resulting in no net increase in pervious surfaces. The current modification request before you this evening is involving the elimination of a proposed septic system in favor of connecting to the future sewer in Route 125. I checked with DPW upon the chairman's request to ensure that the elevations of connection shown on this plan coincide with what they expect the sewer in Route 125 to accommodate. DPW is in possession of this plan. They're aware, and they have confirmed that, that is, the elevations match. So there's no problem there. And it is, they have been able to get pitch, so it's a gravity system. The other element of the modification comes from my review of the approved plan set, where the legend showed a proposed or a symbol for snow storage areas, but the plan didn't show exactly where these areas were. So I asked for an updated plan in that regard. We have a sketch plan for that. So snow storage areas are towards the northerly section of the property, and they're all out of jurisdiction. Chris Connolly with Oliver Enterprises is with us this evening on the call if you have questions.
Joe?
The original plan, original NOI, what's the discussion on that snow stockpile in question? I thought the final plan that we approved did in fact show snow stockpiles. Is it the modification plan that neglected to show? And if that's the case, is this plan now consistent with the originally approved plan?
Well, the originally approved plan had a symbol in the legend for snow storage, but it wasn't shown anywhere on the site plan. It was just in the legend. I couldn't find it. And so the modified plan.
I think they showed it to us during one of the meetings, but that's a
Okay.
long time. It doesn't matter, it's on this plan now.
Okay. Yeah, and we have
Okay.
a sketch, a
Okay.
sketch.
And it's in an appropriate location
Yeah.
regardless of what the original intent was.
Yes.
Okay, fine, I'm all set.
I wasn't trying to be hard on the engineer and the applicant on the sewer plan, but they were trying to put a sewer line to connect to the sewer that isn't there. So I was like, well, what do you use for an elevation? So they finally got to the DPW and found out what the elevation is on the new sewer line that's going through by Amazon. So now now the grades coincide with what, but they could put that sewer line, it could have been too high, too low.
Nice catch.
So I was against it. We talked with Amy was talking to the applicant, but they've got it all straightened out. They've tied up with they've seen the plan from the DPW, so everything's gonna be at the right elevation, and they're gonna get the gravity feed, because they did it wrong. They would have to pump, but I mean, total different animal.
You picked that up?
Huh?
You picked that up?
Yes.
Nice job.
Oh, being a dirt merchant for a long time, you pick up stuff like that. I'm all set. Al?
I'm all set.
No question.
Tony?
Yeah, Tony, sorry. Forgot about those guys.
Yeah, I have no questions.
Jack?
No questions from me.
Okay.
And
Motion?
just so an
Oh, sorry.
update, the contract for the Route 125 sewer is just about to be signed, and notice to proceed given, and they're expecting maybe an April start. If weather allows, they could maybe start on the pump station first, but it's this spring. So it's coming.
On that point, this plan shows record septic system location. They're gonna continue to leave that in place
So.
until such time as they connect to the sewer.
Right, so I had a TRC meeting this morning with the Board of Health, Gene Enright, and Tim Willett of DPW. So, in the interim, the existing tank will be fashioned as a tight tank and pumped accordingly. And the Board of Health, can issue permits to allow for that. And then, once connected, that would be abandoned.
All right, so we don't, on any decision we're about to make on a modification, we don't have to worry about the sequence, that's being handled through the Board of Health?
It is,
Okay, I'm all set.
yep.
So we need a motion on the modifications.
So recommend approve the modifications as presented.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one
All
is,
set. Thanks, Chris.
oh, sorry.
That's all right.
We doubling back? Something else?
Yeah, let's go back to,
Skip to 1210.
242-1692, 1210 Osgood Street.
Okay, so 1210 Osgood Street, the amended order of conditions, public hearing, and the enforcement order. We have identified a special meeting date of March 30th, 2022. So we can just vote to continue to that date.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. And we have an RDA request, an ANRAD for 242-1824, 177 Great Pond Road.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Okay, so just by way of refreshing everybody's memory, Commission will recall that this 10-acre site came under an enforcement order for disturbance within buffer zone and wetlands on the property. Commission's enforcement order required that the entire property be delineated and an ANRAD submitted. We have a plan before us that accurately depicts the wetland resources based on my site inspections, which were like 4 or 5 times out there. I did make flag adjustment requests. This plan reflects that. We asked that the in-ground pool be shown. That is, that's on there now. And as you know, the property's in the watershed overlay for Lake Kachikawick. So I think as far as the ANRAD goes, we have an accurate delineation on site and a plan that reflects that. The other element to this discussion is land and agricultural use. And this plan shows areas of mowed fields that have some supporting information and affidavits from farmers that have mowed through 2005 and 2019, is that correct? Yes. Okay. So we're at the point where the applicant is asking the commission to recognize these areas as land and agricultural use. We started to discuss that in Al's absence, and the commission didn't feel comfortable, moving forward with any kind of decisions or evaluations until we had Al back at the table, just because of his expertise. I've talked to DEP a couple times, and I'm still struggling with the phrase that says presently and predominantly in agricultural use, because I just don't understand what does presently mean? Does it mean when the regulations were adopted? Or does it mean presently meaning, oh, they started yesterday, so they're presently in use. So I'm just struggling with that. But there is evidence that, there has been some agricultural activity in pockets around the property. And there are some newer activities that, haven't historically been identified or verified. For instance, we have a chicken coop behind the house that is up against the wetland. So, and that was, I think, installed 2020. Well, it was sort of the.
I know the chicken's coop was the start of it.
Well, it was, he ended up having to file with the Board of Health for a permit for that, but, so representatives are here this evening, the applicant's here this evening. That's sort of it in a nutshell.
I'd like to jump out of order, and if Al would like to, I'd like you.
I guess I just have a question. Before I can start to wrap my brain around what's in front of us, what is it actually before us for?
An ANRAD.
An ANRAD, just an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation.
Right.
Where does our ability, legally or otherwise, to declare something farmland or not, come in under an ANRAD?
Exactly the debate we had in September.
Yeah.
We were waiting your input. Exactly
So-
the question we had.
Let me just say, I'm a landowner. I have land under 61A. I have for 50 years. So my understanding under the law, under Chapter 61A, is, first of all, that determination is made by the Board of Assessors, not by this commission.
Right.
Secondly, there are conditions with 61A approval. There has to be 5 acres contiguous. It has to have been actively farmed at minimum of 2 years previous to the filing for a 61A application. There has to be evidence of income derived from the property. You have to give a number on the application for a 61A. You have to tell how much money you grossed. It has to be renewed every September, or by every September of every year. If you fail to renew it, you have to reapply the next year. You lose the year. There is nothing under 61A that says you can actively farm it 5 years ago, then take a break for a year or 2 or 3, and then come back in. You have to totally reapply, and you have to show to the Board of Assessors that the active farming activity resulted in proceeds, receipts, cash receipts, money. And I'm not aware, although I always stand corrected if I'm wrong, I'm not aware of any tolling of the 61A activity. But the 5 acre contiguous rule is a hard and fast one. If you don't have if it's not contiguous, whether you're farming it or not, I don't think I've ever seen an approval under 61A for that. But that all being said, we could sit here and recognize a farming activity or not, but I don't think statutorily we have that authority. I think Chapter 61A is totally under the purview of the Board of Assessors. I apply for my 61A status every year during the month of September or during the month of August, and I fill out the application and renew it and put down how many years it's been in agricultural use and how much money I got from gross proceeds from selling products. I've come before this commission, but never for the purpose of being declared farmland or not, but to have activities approved on my property that would be exempt activities under the farmland, which has already been accepted under 61A by the Board of Assessors. I was recently before this very commission for an RDA for exempt activities on one of the hayfields that has been under 61A for 100 years. But at no point in the application did I seek or did I require the approval of this commission to approve or acknowledge the activities, but rather just to say, yes, we recognize 61A under the Board of Assessors, under the statute, and you just found whether or not the activities were exempt or not. That was your finding. Not whether or not I qualified under 61A. That was already part of the pleadings, if you will. The evidence of 61A approval was already submitted with the application. So I know I've just taken up 5 minutes of everybody's time here. I just don't know what, we can look at it as an ANRAD, but I think what I'm seeing here, we're being asked to approve some exempt activities. Is that correct? Are we being asked to approve activities under the agricultural exemption?
If I may address that, first of all, the land is under 61A.
Is it, so that's approved by the Board of Assessors here in town?
Yes.
So you have a 61A current use assessment on the property?
Yes.
If that's the case, then our job is just to simply determine whether or not the activities are in keeping with normally accepted agricultural activities. The term normally accepted is exactly what it sounds like. And if we determine that, then the exemption is, in my opinion, automatic. As long as the activities are in keeping with the normally accepted agricultural activities, or, definition of agricultural activities can be found under Chapter 61A, and the definition can be found with the farming and wetlands regs that Amy has, that's produced by the Mass Association of Conservation Commissions. What is acceptable activities or accepted or traditionally accepted activities, I believe, is listed somewhere. If it's not, we have to hold a hearing and make that determination. So with that said, I don't know if I've helped or confused.
Well, those were all the questions and points we raised that we were unable to answer back in September when this first came before us. It pretty much aligns with what the applicant's attorney had suggested as well. So what we were uncomfortable with, I think we have a clear divide. The resource area is the resource area. There's no question there. We can act on the ANRAD and positively determine that that's the line. The current agricultural use as it exists today, shown, whatever that date is, today or September or whenever, that's only a snapshot in time that we're about to act upon, or at least discuss. It doesn't grant any less or any greater approval to alter those activities. I don't think so. I mean, it's almost like it's a moot point. If it's in 61A, it is agriculture, and if it's a permitted use, they simply come in and say, we want to change it.
As long as, if it's under 61A, that's done deal. The discussion on that's over. So
Yep.
then the next question is the activity in keeping with currently accepted agricultural practices? What is the practice that they're asking us to allow? And if they're asking us to allow mowing or harvesting of hay or grazing of livestock or any of those things, or even necessary related land as defined under 61A, then...
So let's take this, let's take the history behind this, put it aside.
Yeah.
If they're asking us, and I'm going to ask this in the form of a question after I say it to my colleagues, if they're asking us, allow us under this ANRAD to continue in the future activities in these orange areas, we can act on specifically those areas as an ongoing exemption
Yes.
to the limits as shown.
Yes.
If they alter that in any way in the future, they have to come back.
Yes, and you're exactly right, and the qualification is real simple. It has to be annually renewed and in keeping with agricultural activities. And the activity they're asking us to authorize has to be a generally accepted agricultural practice. A swimming pool is not an agricultural practice.
And it's not in the resource area.
A roadway is, pasture land, harvesting, even tillable acreage is all allowed. Even in a resource area, it's allowed, provided that the tillable activity produces an agricultural product that is to be used for feed of livestock or sale.
But that's a 61A question. It's not a
an ANRAD question. Doesn't matter whether they make a profit or not. If they want to farm it as a farm, do they have to demonstrate they make a profit?
Not to us.
Not to us, right?
They have to demonstrate that to 61A. However, the activity that's being asked for, we have to recognize, in other words, let's say we look at this field number 2, and we say, okay, there's resource areas there, but the activity you propose in field number 2 is a generally accepted agricultural activity. The activity could be cutting and mowing and baling of hay or grazing of livestock. Those we all agree are accepted activities. The exemption's automatic. If, on the other hand, they say in field number 2, we want to put in a swimming pool, we know that that doesn't count. If they say they want to put a structure as part of a necessary related land, that's allowable. The structure has to be in keeping with the agricultural activities. It's fairly, at the risk of sounding, it's fairly common sense stuff. You just have to ask the right questions, or they have to make the correct presentation to us.
So is that what you're asking, is, under that second part of the question, is to approve the agricultural use as shown here, moving forward? Is that?
We're actually not asking for approval. I requested the land and agricultural use to be shown because it is in a resource area. And if
Sure.
you go to 10.54, 10.58, those are the resource areas that are related to the ANRAD. Well, the characteristics of this area is not going to be the characteristics set forth in the regulation because the land has been in agricultural use. It has been manipulated. We're not going to find the hydric soils in a nice line, and we're not going to find the obligate species. All right, so that's why I asked the engineers to put, when we spoke to the NRCS identified the fields, and that's why I asked the engineer to put land and agricultural use on the plan, because they're in the resource areas, but they're not going to show the regulatory characteristics because they've been farmed. That's why it's there. We're not asking permission. You know, if it's land and agricultural use, there are certain activities that can be accomplished without the permission of the Concom. All right, and that's the reason why maybe I caused the problem, but the characteristics of that land is not going to be the characteristics of the resource area that it's in. That's all.
Well, let me just disagree with you on one point. It's not a big deal. The use that is proposed, if it differs than the use that's current, it requires some type of notice to the commission, just simply to describe the change in use. The example I'll make is, if I have a field that's currently not tilled, and I just simply harvest the hay off that field, and I do that for 100 years, and then I decide I'm going to till that field and plant corn, both activities are approved and approvable and exempt, but it requires notifying the commission very simply that there's a change in use. We're going from non-tillable activity to tillable activity. It's still approved, it's still allowed, it just notifies the commission if the commission has any comments they want to make on the activity. One of the comments would be, when converting land from non-tillable to tillable, is to direct the direction of the till away from, so that it doesn't channel water and create a spreader, if you will. And that's all it is. It's not going to be denied. We're not going to say you can't do it. We just want to comment on it. It's a very simple process. It can mostly be done administratively, annually. That's all it takes.
Actually, I would consider it, one of the things that you said earlier is logical. And, you know,
yeah.
one of the things that I tell my clients, if you're going to do something, even if with the exemption, call the administrator,
Yeah.
all right, because the neighbors are going to be calling.
And it's just that simple. And when it comes to agricultural activities, 99 9/10% are handled administratively with a letter. So anyway, I'm not going to drag it on any longer for you. Sure.
In talking to DEP, you know, what is the intent of the landowner for farming?
He has an orchard that has been planted, and that maybe, you know, you've seen it, all right? He has an area up front that he has received permission, or he has received a grant from the NRCS to put a high tunnel in, and we plan to put the high tunnel in hopefully this spring. The chickens would remain where they are. They were in land and agricultural use, and it's a continued use. I think that was everything. Oh, and he did start an apiary.
And so all of this is hobby,
No, it's going to be done for a profit.
for profit? Okay, and so,
That gets renewed every year, that question you just asked. When you do your 61A renewal application every year, it has to be done every 12 months. They ask for a dollar amount, I think it's on page 2. They ask for a dollar amount of proceeds. And it's not for the purposes of reporting you to the DOR, it's just that that's considered to be a sworn statement, if you will.
but that's part of the wetlands regs as well. I mean, if it's a gentleman's farm,
Yeah,
you're not exempt.
yeah. So,
If it's a hobby farm, you're not exempt.
so if they're
So
telling
it's
us,
gotta be for a profit.
yeah, if they're telling us it's
Whether
for
he makes a
profit,
profit or not
yeah,
is irrelevant, but it's sort of the scope of his activities need to be in keeping with, yeah, I'm trying to make a profit here. I'm not just keeping a few chickens for myself and my friends.
yeah. I
So-
hear you, I
and-
hear you, but
The
I also hear,
regulations do require for commercial intent.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's, we recognize that.
Okay,
And
all right.
I have spoken, he has commercial intent, he has an avenue where he can sell his vegetables, and the eggs are already being sold.
Okay.
So there is commercial intent to it.
Okay, okay.
If we're saying that they have a current 61A use, it's documented, that's supporting this discussion. At any point that they lose that in the future, it no longer supports this discussion. And that's a discussion that's basically vetted out through the assessors. And at any point they fail to meet that standard, it no longer meets this standard.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And
All right,
as long as they're proceeding as they say they are, they enjoy the exemption.
Okay, so can I just read,
Sure,
because
sure.
I really need to make sure that we're all on the same page about, we have these areas, and, you know, just because not every square inch of the property is farm. So bringing abandoned land back into production, opening new land to farming, or creating new access roads and ways or work areas are not exempt activities because the land in question is not presently and primarily in or related to production. So it's not a have at it out there for the whole 10 acres.
Well, that's why I'm saying.
It's very specific areas, and, you know, if you're gonna start expanding beyond those footprints, you're not exempt. You have to come in and file.
Correct, that's
Okay.
the orange areas are here that are theoretically ongoing and continue to want to be ongoing. If they're accurate,
Right.
this is the limitation of what they can do. If they expand or join these together and simply decide to do more, that's a separate discussion to determine its eligibility for exemption in the future.
Right.
So I think the orange sections here, you didn't make a mistake. I think it serves, you know, the wetlands protection.
So you can know in the future whether or not the land and agricultural use has been expanded without the consent of the Concom.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you answered my question, because I didn't know, I don't know much about 61A, but the 61A only covers the areas that they've designated as agriculture.
Whole property.
It's not the whole property, correct?
Right, but the answer is, it appears to be yes. But they also appear to qualify, to me. My impression is that this.
Enough of it.
Pardon me?
Enough of it is in agricultural use to satisfy Chapter 61A. Is that
That's what
you're
I'm seeing,
talking about?
that's what I'm seeing in front of me,
Okay,
yes.
I mean, yeah. So-
So
All
the-
right.
I think
so
we're
the whole-
overstepping our bounds in that
property-
this whole debate, it has nothing to do with us. It shouldn't be on the plans because it's not a resource area. We can only approve resource areas. So it should be off the plan and we approve the resource area. Whether it's active farming or not, I mean, that's a determination to be made under a separate matter. It's not a resource area, so it's not subject to any INRAD. And the regulations on an INRAD are very clear about that.
Well, Tony, the reason why I asked, then there's the potential violation of the chicken coop being up against the wetlands,
Right.
not in the ag areas that they designate.
Right.
So that's an open violation, as far as I'm concerned.
Where is the chicken coop?
Right by the house.
Behind the house.
That big area is chicken
Just to the
coop.
east of the house?
Existing 8-foot high fence area and chicken coop. It's right under 25.
It's allowed, Lou.
That's
No,
allowed.
I don't know
is.
how you can,
How can it be allowed if it's
Only
not-
if it's current and actively in farm use. If it's a new chicken
It's
coop
new.
and that area wasn't previously used as a farming use or an agricultural use, it's
Right.
not allowed.
correct.
Well, at least not without an RDA or
Well, it
or
can
a
be,
notice of intent.
it can be applied for, and you're right, I agree with you. Do we consider this to be an application to that effect?
No,
It's an INRAD.
But an
That's an
ANRAD is not an application for work.
Right.
no.
Okay.
That's the question I have. I just didn't know if the 61A covered the whole area. Because Amy just said that if there's any new activity,
Right.
it has to be filed
The new activity, that's correct. The new activity does have to be
Right,
filed.
so-
Under the Wetlands Protection Act.
under the wetlands
Under
protection.
the-
So
under the-
that's new,
Yes,
all right? So
in my opinion, yes.
that has to be filed, and it's in violation already. That's just one area. But, I mean, I, at the last meeting, I told you, I didn't have a problem with the areas that were marked, because they were existing.
Yeah, and I think any determination we make under what an ANRAD is intended to do, it wouldn't be unusual for us to say we're approving the resource area and state wetland flag series to that extent. And the other information shown on it is simply extraneous. We're neither approving or condoning or, using it as a baseline, but the record is something that we could use in the future. And I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing having it on the plan, but our determination is only gonna be the green lines.
Well, I agree with Tony in that, if I understand everything correctly, if it's a 61A, we don't have any decisions to make. It is or it isn't. It's not in front of us, correct? So then the next question is it existing use that's been used for agricultural purposes in the past? That's not part of an INRAD process. The INRAD is, we hire wetland scientists to go out there, identify the wetlands are, and that's usually what's on our INRAD, as well as existing structures. Putting circles on where, agricultural uses may be going on and identifying what they are is not anything dealing with our wetland scientists. It's nothing that we should be asked to, to look at and say it's accurate or inaccurate. And if we put it on a plan and we look at it later on, we're going to be relying on what was in front of us was accurate. And I don't know if everybody's done that due diligence. So in that regard, I think Tony's right on the nose.
Okay. I agree. Jack, you have any input?
Yeah, I kind of had the same questions. I saw the chicken coop was outside the areas of land and agricultural use, and I just think that the extent of the ANRAD defines the wetlands and the structures, and really nothing else. Legally, the fact that those areas are identified is kind of superfluous to what we're trying to do tonight, I would think.
All right.
That they don't mean anything in our, if we issue an ORAD for this, I don't think those areas of land and agricultural use mean anything that, in terms of approval by the Conservation Commission.
Under the
All right, what was?
Well, under the ANRAD, are we agreeing with the delineation?
Yeah.
At least we could go that
Oh, yeah.
far.
The delineation of the wetlands district.
So if we agree to that, then we should instruct the applicant as how to proceed forward to apply for and get an approval, if it's possible, of the area for the chickens.
Yes.
You can approve, at your choice, you can approve the delineation of the wetlands, accepting therefrom the classification of land and agricultural use from the plan, and that would resolve that issue. I'm informed that when the Board of Health issued the permit for the chicken coop, the Concom signed off on it. So I think the applicant believed that he was all set. This is back in 2020. It wasn't a conservation permit, it was the Board of Health permit. But he felt confident with the, you have a use sign off apparently in the town?
Inform you, yeah.
So,
That could have been before I was even a signee, because I caught up with a couple of things, and I'm like, why aren't I not getting these? So, it
So we
could
may
have
not
been,
have signed
My
off.
point is he
Yeah.
followed what he thought.
No, I
the
get
procedure
it.
was.
No, I get it.
You know, he had the Concom
Right.
sign off.
he thought he was all set
Now, this is, you're talking about for the coop?
for the coop.
Okay. So, may I suggest a resolution? Instead of penalizing the applicant for the coop, allow him to come in with an RDA,
After the
After
fact.
the
an
fact,
after-the-fact filing, and that way we can at least approve or what, give him some guidance on whether that's allowed, how it's laid out. Let's at least permit him to file after the fact on that. We can make our finding on the ANRAD on its four corners, and then let him come back in for the coop area.
well, that's all, fine, but we should give him some guidance before he files.
Well, I'm
Because right
just,
now, it's a violation.
so my humble suggestion is, because he did get a signed Form U, regardless of who signed it, he reasonably relied upon that to go forward. I don't think we should penalize him for it, but we should have him come in with an after-the-fact so we can tune it up. That's what I think.
Yeah, use the wonderful phrase logic. The reality is, he wanted to build a chicken coop, wanted to do it next summer, and he came in to us and said, I'm looking to do this.
Yeah,
I'm an agricultural use, this is an extension of that agricultural use. We would say, sure.
yeah,
All we want to do is document that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So I think that's good guidance.
You know-
What I'm hearing though is, do we want this orange layer turned off on these plants and resubmitted?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. That makes that whole debate go away.
And I appreciate the reason why you put it there. And I think it probably has some helpful benefits, but as far as a record drawing that's going to be relied on in this process, I don't think it should be there. It would be different than what we put on any other record drawing that comes in front of us.
So turn that layer off, turn off any nomenclature, any titling of the land in use and the acres of that, turn off that entire layer.
May I ask the commission a question? If we want the commission to acknowledge these areas, what process would we go forward to have you acknowledge that these areas are in land and agricultural use?
I don't think we have to. I don't
Well-
think we have to acknowledge them if they're in current use. They're in current use.
I mean, DEP did recommend an RDA for that could be just, you know, something that everyone just is on the same page.
See,
And
that's confusing to me a little bit. If it's in current use and there's no change in use, do we have to see it?
If I may address that,
If you take a look at the language of the Wetland Protection Act, the first paragraph sets out the requirements, and an RDA is one of those requirements. And then the 24th paragraph of the Wetland Protection Act says the provisions of the act are exempt from normal maintenance and normal improvement of land and agricultural use. So that means a farmer is not required to file an RDA for normal maintenance and normal improvement of land and agricultural use.
Understood. I understand that, and she did make
But,
that
but expansions
point.
and changes are
Yes,
required.
right. I mean,
And that is still an RDA.
right.
Is it?
And-
Yeah.
yes.
Well, no, maybe not.
Or
Maybe
NOI,
not.
it depends
Maybe not, it could
on,
just be a notice, a letter of notice. If
well, if it's beyond the.
like, I don't file an RDA when I decide to rototill up land that's gone to weeds.
Yeah, but you're
I
in the
don't come
same
in with an RDA
footprint.
for that, I just do it.
Right,
Because I'm already in an area that I'm working, that's an accepted area.
right. If you're in the area that's already recognized as land and agricultural use, I agree
Yes,
with you.
Yes,
But if you want to go beyond those footprints,
if I wanted to, I
then.
would, yes, that's a
And then
filing.
that's the filing.
Yeah, I accept that, yes.
And the point that he doesn't have to file an RDA, is correct. It was just a recommendation from DEP that if there's questions and we're not all on the same page, then get on the same page with a friendly RDA. That was really all, that was.
Why does the applicant want us to make a ruling or decision on existing
Well, because
agricultural units?
He's going to be,
It wasn't a request to make a decision. Like I said.
Well, you said, I thought it was
if it's-
approved. I thought it was the term somebody just, Maureen used
If you
it.
take a look at the resource area,
Yeah.
the characteristics of that land is not the characteristics of that resource area. So I wanted it designated that there is a different soil here, and the reason why it's been legally manipulated for years. That's the only reason why it's there. It's not an approval, it's not, it's
Acknowledgement.
Can I ask, was this land previously Stevens Estate property?
I don't think so. I don't,
I remember. You remember the farming activities? If you come down Great Pond Road, this land on the left as you go down Great Pond Road?
On the right,
On the right from the roundabout, it's on the right.
tucked up and back above Hockaway. Not Hockaway,
Yeah.
Marble Ridge,
Oh, down by Marble Ridge.
but up in further up the hill. Like halfway between Marble Ridge and Salem Street, right? Right.
Is that right?
Now, you can see it from Marble Ridge.
Yes.
What I see from Marble Ridge is land I thought was somebody else's. But anyway, all right. Regardless, I'm not gonna get into.
all right, just so to wrap, or try to move on. So do we want the applicant to come back with a plan that has these orange agricultural
I'd leave,
notations
No, Joe,
turned off?
Joe wants that turned off. And
Not
the,
necessarily,
Sean
my
does,
colleagues
and-
do, and I understand the reason why.
yeah,
And I also
As
see value
Tony
in folding
does
this
too.
up and keeping it in the file
yeah.
because of a future debate that's likely to happen down the road at some point when someone says, hey, they changed things.
Yeah.
We have the basis from which
See,
to make that comparison. So I see this going in the file, but not the record drive.
I have no problem with it either way. I could deal with this as a record or just as a reference, whatever you want. The only thing I think that's important is we get them to come back in with an RDA and after-the-fact filing for the coop and the coop area, and then we can rule on that, and then that should close the book on this. I would hope.
I think, this plan should be record drawing, only because we are gonna be here forever, and at least this way, this is the original ANRAD that was approved, and these were the existing agriculture areas at that time.
Could the RDA be, could the
And
RDA
I'm
have
agreeing
that?
with Tony and with Anthony and Sean on this one, that we have no basis of making any determination of agriculture. We have no idea when it was first put into use, when it was abandoned, when it was put to fallow. We have no idea of any of that. Why should we talk about that?
Well, if it ever gets expanded without anybody knowing, the wetlands speak for
Well,
themselves.
I think, again, in a file as a reference for the future, I think it's an important document to have to be able to,
Yeah.
critique future accusations that may be raised by an abutter.
Okay,
And we could say, yeah, they worked that area, and, they were here in 2021 and 22, and they were in fact working that
Well, we
area.
could-
We're not talking, making any determination of what was happening in the past, but if there's an argument that raises in the future, I think it becomes a valuable tool to make that assessment.
And Lou, where it says land and agricultural use field 1.09 acres, I don't think anybody's misrepresenting things to us, but I don't know that's 1.09 acres. I don't know if it's half an acre. I don't know if it's 2 acres. And if it's half an acre and they want to expand it, why not put it down as 1.09 and I'll expand it to 1.09 over the next couple of years?
Actually, those figures came from the federal government, from NRCS.
okay.
Shows you what I know.
Well,
And
that's
that's been
fine.
submitted in the package.
All right, so we want to plan with it, without the agriculture areas on it,
Okay.
okay? So now we need a motion to approve the ANRAD.
No.
No, you can't
No, no,
approve
no.
it until we get the,
Well,
Okay, all right.
we
We'll
get the
continue
revised
the-
plan. You give us a revised plan, and then,
We'll continue the hearing.
I pledge to make the motion
no,
at the
do
next
we,
meeting.
let me just
I
ask the
pledge to
question.
make that motion at the next meeting with the right plan.
Yeah, because
Does anybody disagree with allowing the applicant to make an after-the-fact filing?
For the chicken coop?
Anybody okay with that?
Yep.
All right, okay.
well, just a heads up, Maureen, you know that we never approve a structure in the 25, never mind, up against the wetland, so. you're gonna have to make some type of design change.
Which structure are we
The
talking about?
coop,
The coop would be exempt if it's a coop.
It's not, I don't know how you're exempting it. It's
How
not
you
inside the
exempt it? It's not-
footprint
it's
of
not in the
agricultural
application.
use.
It's, but it has to, you have to start somewhere. The chicken or the egg, what came first? You have to start somewhere.
Yeah, out of the 25. That's a good start.
Right.
I won't-
It's
I
not
won't argue
currently
with- I'm not gonna-
presently agricultural use, it's a
Right.
new use.
Right, exactly.
so what's,
They don't get afforded that exception.
That's exactly right.
right. So the attorney is agreeing with us.
No, yeah, I
So
know.
that was Tony. That was him.
No. I thought
Okay.
it was
You
Tony.
sounded like.
No,
All
it's
right,
Tony.
so, Counsel,
Yeah, that was me, sorry.
you
Who can
understand,
tell this?
you understand what has to come forward then, right?
Yeah, we'll have something filed within a month.
All right.
All right,
So-
thank you very much. for your
All right,
time.
motion to continue.
So
Right.
moved.
Second.
All those in
To
favor
the
say
February
aye.
9th meeting,
Aye.
That's unanimous.
waiting for a plan that takes off this for the ANRAD. Okay? Okay, thank you.
So we need,
Okay, I don't think, it's just, I don't think so. It's really just, we just need the plan that has the ag turned off. That's it. Okay, thanks. Well, that, yeah, whenever they, yeah. But let's get the ANRAD buttoned up first. Okay.
COC for 242-1813, 221 Webster Woods.
You guys motioned to continue, right?
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
I didn't
yes,
get that
yes,
yet.
we did.
Okay, just want to make sure. Alrighty. 221 Webster Woods. The order issued in June of 2021 governed the demolition of an existing deck and stairs and existing patio underneath the deck, rebuilding a larger deck and stairs and associated footings within the patio footprint, an expanded pervious paver patio footprint with stairs leading up to the north side of the house and driveway. The new deck and patio were configured to utilize the existing footprint of the existing patio, and then the expansion of the deck and the stairs and patio was going to be to the north, outside of the 75-foot no-build zone to ephemeral pool habitat. No work was proposed in the 50-foot no disturb zone, and all of the work was within existing disturbed landscaped areas or manicured lawn. We received an as-built plan that has a deviation to the approved plan, so I'm going to pull up the picture with the overlays.
That's a great graphic, by the way. That is. Thank you.
So the proposed patio was supposed to have a rounded edge, which kept it from encroaching further into the 75 than the existing one already was. So just to back up a little bit, the deck and the patio were partially within the 75, but that was built when the house was built, and the vernal pool wasn't recognized at that time. So it was respecting the 50-foot no construction zone. Now we have a vernal pool, and it's in the 75. So the commission just said, we don't want any new encroachment into the 75. So in this graphic, the blue represents the permitted limit of the patio. Okay. And then the red represents expansion of the patio beyond what was approved. In the 75, there is 4.7 square feet increased encroachment into the 75. But overall, in the buffer zone, it's a 30.8 square foot decrease of patio. So, you know, I said the obvious thing, this isn't in compliance, and the commission may not approve it. And I suggested that perhaps they just go back and build it to the plan. The applicant and his engineer wanted to provide this information and this graphic for you to consider. They're here this evening, and that's it.
Joe, any questions?
I guess one question, which is gonna, I'm trying to resist making a comment, because I think it's de minimis, but the question is, in the area diagonally from the graphic that we're looking at here, in other words, coming towards me, that's where the ledge outcropping is, right? So you,
You're like almost standing on it,
you
taking the picture.
Throw-
I was on top, we were
Of
on
that.
top of that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
So we actually have a impervious rock barrier to the resource area, and that, when I say de minimis, I mean the giving up of some area and a little bit of excursion into the area, they almost balance each other in a pure sense. Yeah, it's not according to plan, but I don't see any benefit of reworking it, given the fact that the ledge is there as a physical barrier.
and may I add, there's also, I didn't take a picture, if you go to the left, there's also more ledge.
You see it in the background, or those just erratics. Out in the tree line, those big boulders.
If you look at where that tree is to the left, there's probably a 5.5-foot boulder
Yeah.
Yeah.
between that and the Vernal Pool.
So knowing that that's the geology between this area that we're talking about and the resource area, I have no other questions.
4.7 square feet. It's a little bit, because it's stretched out between the whole perimeter of the deck, plus the fact they're giving us back 30.7 feet, right? I thought I saw something, what did I say? But no, I don't have any problem with the way it stands right now. Especially with that ledge cropping right there. Yeah,
No questions.
Sean?
No question.
Tony?
Is that Tony? No questions.
Jack?
No, I have no questions either.
Okay. Motion?
What is this, a request for a COC?
Yep.
I'll move it.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.
If it wasn't for the red and blue, you wouldn't have.
That was a nice, yeah, that was a nice
Yeah,
job.
I really like the graphics.
That was a good job. It's nice to see somebody do a good job.
Thanks, guys.
Except following the plan. All right, next one is an enforcement order for 2/6/2/1692. Is that gonna be part of that meeting that you're gonna have? All right, so
Yep.
we don't have to even act on it.
Right.
All right, next one is 40 Flagship Drive.
Alrighty, so the commission will recall issuing a 7th amended enforcement order at its January 12th meeting, requiring that all activity cease, all trucking of soil off-site cease, cleaning of the frac tanks cease, and preparing the site for winter condition stabilization. By that Saturday, January 15th. I hand-delivered the enforcement order to the site personnel, not knowing whether there would be communication with the principal and their site guys. They immediately responded. Taylor visited Friday. Most of the work was done, ready, most of the preparation and stabilization was done. I visited that Saturday noon, and everyone was off-site. Stockpile of soil was covered with tarps and, plastic sheeting. The access drive was prepared and check dams were installed at my direction. And then Monday, Martin Luther King Day, we had a decent storm. We checked on the site on Monday. There was no evidence. So we have a stable situation. We still don't have a notice of intent. So we're
That's a
continuing.
problem.
Yeah,
I
we're
was gonna ask her, she
continuing,
was right here.
so
No,
we're continuing with
can't.
fines.
Can't? I can ask her when she's walking out the door.
Oh, no,
Yeah, I'm
she's
sorry.
here to represent them. He's
Yeah.
unrepresented, so.
So we're continuing with daily fines for lack of submitting
Yeah, we
the
gave
notice
it-
of intent.
That's what I wanted to refresh my memory. We gave him a deadline, and the time, the fines
Yeah,
were
which
ticking
was
up to that.
December 28th. So,
Yeah.
so
We've
we're
given- we've
approaching,
given So many deadlines, we're on our 7th EO.
so,
No, we made it pretty evident that
No, so-
no activity at all.
Yeah.
Their engineering firm is dragging their knuckles on the,
Well, they probably haven't been paid.
No, he's been paid up, at least at one point he was, right?
with the monitor.
Recently?
The monitor.
Oh, the monitor, okay.
Without getting too deeply into it, there's only one reason in my mind why they're not coming forward with a notice.
yeah, I agree.
All right, so that's, we don't care what the reason is.
Right.
So, fines are accumulating daily.
Yep,
We're probably somewhere at $5,000.
keep ticking.
And we are swinging by to make sure no one's on site. They've moved on to other things, or they're not on site. Nothing's happening.
Do we agree that the site is as stable as it can be right now?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
then,
think so.
then carry on.
So carry on.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're instituting fines on non-compliance.
Say what?
And
I'm sorry?
for non-compliance, we're issuing fines.
Yeah,
And we're issuing fines on the administration going out there and doing
Right.
site visits.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
Yep.
just keeping everybody
do a good
abreast.
job, use a sharp pencil, keep good records,
Yep.
and,
Yep,
that's, no backing down.
yep. So that's it. That's it for the update.
Right.
Petty said, don't back down.
Nope. So we just keep that one. All right,
So do you need a motion?
Nope.
Okay.
No, we've been just keeping it on the agenda for
Okay,
updates.
just for an
Do you-
update, okay.
Do you want to just keep doing that, or?
Yep,
Yes.
yep,
All right,
we
so-
like updates.
All right,
Yeah.
so continue to
Especially
February
when the meter's
9th.
running.
Yep, we get the meter running.
And
All right.
I don't know if we can, but can we reach out to the engineering firm and find out what the holdup is?
Not our responsibility.
No, we don't care.
Okay.
They've been given notice, okay, they've duly been served. That's it, that's our responsibility.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I think kudos to everybody here and doing a good job to make sure that place finally got stabilized, because now we are in a position where we don't really care.
We'll just sit on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Next
The worm
one.
has turned.
Next one is
All right.
64.
Just on that issue, without an NOI,
Yep.
we have no dog in this fight. When it comes time to get a certificate of compliance, we don't have to sign off on it. He could,
They
without
can't-
cooperation of all departments, he could occupy that building when it's done.
They can't
Even
go-
if he never files
They
an
can't
NOI.
go forward without our approval as long as it's jurisdictional.
They
Right.
gotta cease and desist.
Yeah,
They
cease
can't
and
build
We have a
anything.
cease and
anything.
desist order, they can't do anything.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
It's jurisdictional, it became jurisdictional when left the site.
Is anything filed at the registry on any of these violations?
What do you mean?
Any of these enforcement orders filed
No.
at the registry?
They should be.
Should be. Buyer beware. I mean, the buyer's not gonna know that this action is looming out there
Is it-
necessarily. Again, I don't wanna,
Hold on, let me ask you
I don't
this.
wanna stir this up. If you get,
Is a cease and desist order a recordable document?
I have done it.
If it is recordable, I would move that we authorize our administrator and fund same to record the document against the site at the registry of deeds.
And is an enforcement order fileable with the registry?
I think it is.
So
I think it
in
is too.
Beverly, what I
Yeah.
did,
we just gotta-
I don't know,
We
and
gotta
Tony
get
may be able to jump in on this.
Registry of Deeds
But
online.
But I can tell you that in Beverly, what I did is I had the enforcement order, and then I had an accompanying affidavit that basically outlined our rationale for recording, a chronology, and, my notarized signature to record as a bundle. So that's what I did, but I don't know,
I
Tony,
think
if
we
you
should
had
do,
any
we should
other.
do the same thing here. We
Because if
should-
the fines themselves aren't a motivator to file an NOI,
I don't think we
Yeah,
should.
so I
do-
bel-
Encumbering his title to the property certainly is.
Yes, I agree.
So
Go ahead, Tony.
Go ahead, Tony.
WPA Form 9 is an enforcement order form that is recordable similar to
Order of conditions.
order of conditions.
Yep.
So I would say that we create one of those, append, and the registry is a lot easier when you append things versus an actual recordable form. We know that the WPA form is append the 7th revision. And my last question would be to see when fines are payable. And if we say, by next meeting, if there isn't, we're going to post the fine, he would then have a certain period of time to pay it, and then we could ask when the finance department does or the assessors department does their liens, to lien the property and record that for non-payment.
That'll do it.
I like it. I like
Thank
it.
you, thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
Oh, we didn't pay the light bill again.
Right.
Okay.
So
That's those
is that a
15-year
motion,
LED
Tony?
lights.
Yes, I make a motion that we fill out the WPA Form 9 and record it, funding same from our budget, including as an attachment the latest and greatest enforcement order letter that was hand-delivered.
Second.
When it comes time, we can fund it from the filing fee account simply on a motion from this commission.
And Amy, does the enforcement order include the cease and desist language within it?
It refers to the letter that I write, so it probably should have all the language.
Yep, can we include the letter as part of that?
Oh, yeah,
filing?
absolutely.
Yeah, so part of the Form 9, Section C, the first thing is the property owner, his agents, permittees, and others shall immediately cease and desist any activity.
Yep.
And there is a checkbox for the activity was outside of
Jurisdiction.
the jurisdiction of the act, but has altered an area. So
Okay.
it covers everything that we've been going through.
Thanks.
Okay,
We have a
so
motion.
Tony moved that,
And I second it.
Joe
Yeah, all
seconded
those in
it.
favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Okay,
Good job.
Thank you, Tony, again.
thank you,
Good
Tony.
job.
Nice going, Tony.
Way to work, kid.
All right, next one is 64 Nutmeg.
All right, just by way of update, Greg Hockmith, the wetland consultant, informed me that the notice of intent is prepared. The homeowners are reviewing it, so that's where it's at. But in the meantime, they're not doing any work, so they're abiding by the enforcement order. And that's that.
That goes back.
A bit, a bit, a little bit,
All right.
yes.
But they have been working, Greg was,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Behind
Oh,
the
Greg's
ball.
delineated and, no, NOI's ready to roll,
okay,
so.
Looks like it.
all right. So while we're here, next order of general business, the performance bond calculation update.
I haven't been able to get much information from anybody. I canvassed our Concom network, and they pretty much said, oh, we don't do that, but let us know what you find out.
Once
So-
again, North Andover's gonna have to be the,
I
So
did a little
Tony's-
research as well online. So a lot of communities have the ability, but don't post
Right.
any written guidance. The only one I found was Amesbury requires the posting of a bond at 50 cents per square foot of disturbance of the entire site. And it's either through the order of conditions, or if no order of conditions is issued, they do it through their stormwater bylaw, which I kind of like, given the issues at 40 Flagship. Having that sort of bond would have probably helped. That would be something to try and deal with the planning board to
What was
get
that
our
what was that
stormwater
unit cost?
bylaw amended.
Tony, what was that unit cost?
50 cents.
50 cents a square foot for the entire site,
Total project area.
total project.
I like that.
So a 1 acre site of disturbance, i.e. triggering NIPD's, we're looking at a $25,000 bond.
No, $2,000. No, $20,000, I'm sorry.
20,000, you're right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
But that's appropriate.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
That's appropriate.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
what, you
Nick
know,
Valenza,
because, man,
$1
when-
plus project.
just keep thinking, of this guy, if they walk away from this site over there, we're looking at a big job.
Yeah, I think that's a good number.
I like it. Let's consider using that as a basis to create a document.
So
Okay.
I have a copy of the form that they fill out in Amesbury. I'll print it
okay.
out and bring it in.
Now, are we being asked to formalize that? Because I know we've been real reluctant to really
Well-
pigeonhole, into a reg or into a policy.
I think some sort of guidance, because I've never dealt with bonds, so I don't feel equipped to come up with a calculation.
I think we should.
So if we could just have some sort of guidance for all of us to go by, I don't know.
I think we should.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
and
This first time we
they
did
don't
this-
require a cash bond either.
No.
It can be a surety through a bonding
We'll never
company.
do that.
We want cash, we deal in cash here.
Cash,
We'll never
cash
do that.
only, no charging. No ticky, no laundry.
You could tell the ones who lived through the 80s and 90s with all the banks
Yeah.
failing.
Yes.
We were holding millions of dollars of funny money.
Of nothing.
That was worthless in bonds.
We had monopoly money.
Yeah, I think we should institute that formula, because every time we get a decision, which the first thing I look at.
Can we get a copy of
Is
that
the bond.
document that they use?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony will share it.
Yeah, I'll get it. It was through one of their decisions, and I made a call to someone I know in Amesbury. And,
Excellent.
yeah, no, I'll get a copy of it.
Thank you.
And so what's the purpose of this? Just so when Amy does her original draft, she puts in that kind of standard number? Because generally it's been, we've tried to
So
figure
what do
out
you
what it
think,
would cost for us
5,000?
to get it back in
Yeah.
compliance.
This is a better way of calculating the bond.
And then this way it's cut and dry,
Is
you
it
can't,
better?
I think so.
Well,
I think it's a starting point,
And I think it's
What's that?
Yeah.
a starting point.
A starting point.
I was
It's a
just gonna
starting-
say,
yeah, it's a
'cause
guide.
I think the argument is to be made that on a relatively gentle sloping site,
Right.
that 50 cents makes sense, but on a steeper slope, it might be 75,
Okay.
because the vulnerability is greater.
all right,
At least it gives us someplace to start.
Starting point.
All right, good.
and some consistency, which we always push
Yep.
for.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, next one is, so we're gonna continue that for next meeting?
Yeah, we'll continue and get more info.
All right, the next one is staff site visit fees, and I think we're instituting that now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the number works. That 40 Flagship is a perfect example. That we have to send somebody out to maintain the site. Not that we had to, but we consistently had somebody out there for Amazon. When we did the condominiums on the townhouses out on 114. I mean, not that I was, personally, at least I was out there at least 10 times.
Well, let me ask a question, Lou. We already charge a fee for our staff to go out and review a wetland line.
Yep.
We already have that fee in place. That's a deal. So what is this now? This is meant to cover site visits after the wetland line and.
Correct.
So let's say we've got a normal order of conditions, normal NOI, normal order of conditions. It's reasonable that in the normal course of that permit, and part of what they paid, is a pre-construction meeting, a post-construction as-built confirmation, and maybe 2 site visits.
Yeah,
We allow 4 visits. Anything beyond that is a per-visit site.
Correct.
Because you've got something going,
So,
we have
something
that. That's how
going
we have
wrong
it
that's
set,
causing us to
that's
be
how
out
we
there.
have it set up. You get 2 visits per application.
I'd say 4.
No, it gotta be more than 2, because the fees that you put together to get these things going are already,
No, I'm talking about not the pre and post. That's not part of it.
2 additional.
2
So
additional.
we're in agreement, we're saying
Those
4.
4.
All right.
That's what's been set up that way.
I think that's
It's
a
when
normal-
somebody comes, I mean, Taylor and Amy are out of the office sometimes all day,
yep.
and then they're gonna come back and go do this stuff. I mean, it's not right.
Understood, but just bear in mind, as an applicant from time to time, you have to feel like you're getting something for your application fee, the money you're putting in to get it.
They are getting something for their
Yeah.
But I
application.
think the building department's got a great model that you get a building permit, you're getting a framing inspection, you're getting your certificate of occupancy inspection, there's various inspections.
Yeah, I know, you gotta
However,
pay the fire department to go out and check
if
your
he has to come back and re-inspect, because when he came out and did his first inspection, something was wrong, he didn't do it right, he has to re-inspect, there is a charge, they do charge an additional inspection fee. I think it's fair.
Yeah, and I think it's fair.
So I think in our realm, I think 4 inspections, 4 visits to a site is typical. Anything beyond that is out of the ordinary, and anything, if it's out of the ordinary, they should pay for that.
But it has to be separate. Pre and post is usually part of the order.
Right.
So that's 2 of the visits. The 2 visits, site visits, beyond, the 2, we'll give them 2. Aside from that, then it's chargeable.
I don't think so.
You can't, if the visit has anything to do with erosion controls, that shouldn't be part of it, because the erosion control should come under your application.
Right, right. Well, I'm saying.
So you got exclusions already, you got a pre and post and erosion controls, you just excluded 3 activities. So you have to figure out what your exclusions are, because you can't, you just, it's unreasonable to charge for every single solitary visit, when certain things are already covered. You're paying an erosion control inspection fee to begin with. I mean, anything that has to do with control should be covered under that fee. It just should. It's not a cheap.
So,
Well, I think it should.
I think Al's right too. I'd be afraid that we discourage people from calling when something goes wrong if they think they're gonna get whacked with the fee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I mean, there's, well, you know, when you put together an IDA or an NOI, you are writing your checks. You are just nonstop. And
Yep.
at some point, something's gotta come under, you gotta get something for your buck when you're applying.
There's nothing to say that the commission doesn't have the ability to rein in a project if it's getting out of hand. I mean, if you know that if I'm reporting, I'm out there, things are going horrible, we're visiting, 3 times a week, and you guys have the ability to invoke that at that time. It's really meant for sites that, are really egregious, and we have,
And sometimes, believe it or
so
not, it doesn't matter.
I don't think,
It's commercial, even residential, we've had issues with residential people too.
right.
I mean,
So
it's
I don't
not-
think you have to come out of the gate with it. I think it's something that's in our toolbox, and when we need it, you can invoke it.
Well,
Right?
It seems arbitrary the way we say that.
Yeah, see, it
scares
can't
me.
be,
That
it can't be
scares me.
that. There has to be, it has to be quantified right up front. It has to be part of all the documents you receive. Just like when you submit the application.
Yeah, but aren't we talking about sites that are turn into nightmares?
So now
like
you have to,
Merrimack condos,
so now what you
right?
have to do is you have to determine what the definition of a trouble site is. You have to make that definition and then see if the
Okay.
site falls in it. You can't.
Well, maybe that's what
That's
we.
crazy, that's crazy when you try to start doing that. Because, okay, what makes this site a trouble site? We're gonna have categories. It's gonna require a whole different, I think that's a can of worms. I think that's the definition of arbitrary right there.
Okay.
I think the mechanism we just have to be more diligent on is the fine. If it's a site that's gotten to the point that it should be, if it's that much of a problem, it's in violation, it would seem. And if it's in violation, I think we invoke fines right from the get-go.
Which we already have the authority to do.
Right, but I think that there's some direct correlation, a
So we're
direct
going-
connection between a
we're going-
fine and the necessity to be out there looking
No,
at
I
it.
get it. So what we're doing is we're drifting away from an inspection fee and going to a punitive fee.
Yeah, I
And
don't-
fines,
So 2 different things.
actually, it doesn't matter where the money goes, it all goes into the general fund. None of it's coming back to support the endeavors of the commission.
I think we need
As
to
do
do, I think we need to
inspection
do more research on the staff site visit fees. I don't think we're ready for that yet. I think we gotta do more homework on at what point are the visits to the site billable? What's included in your application fee and what's billable later? We have to make that real clear.
If we can, right? Because there's a difference between a septic replacement and doing lucent, right? I mean,
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
fits one as far as number of visits doesn't necessarily fit the other.
Yep.
And somebody would say, well, you know, they're gonna come out more elusive, but I'm also paying a bond that's $50,000 and not $2,000, so that should be included.
Well, you know,
back
wouldn't it be
in-
nice if every once in a while somebody looked at these order conditions? Said, we approve them, we give them to an applicant, and they'll never look at it again.
Yeah.
So then she goes out and go, well, according to item 47, you haven't done that. You know, so you tell them what to do, okay, she goes out there again, it's still not done.
Yeah, oh, I know.
So
Understood.
That's
I
a-
like the idea.
a violation.
Some money, but I just don't know
Yeah,
the right mechanism.
right,
Yeah.
and Tony just said then that's when it's a violation, so.
So I,
But we also have a site inspector that works for us too, right?
Yeah.
That we're paying him to do that.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah, I
you
get
really
it.
gotta be careful
I
here.
understand that.
This can you can really,
It's-
you can really make a mistake and
Right.
push, you know. The performance bond calculation, that's awesome and that's right on point, but
Yeah,
staff site visit fees, I just think we gotta, because we already have the delineation fee when you go out and you check the delineation,
Yep.
and that can be a big number depending on how big that line is.
right, right.
So I think that the site visits, we're gonna have to define what those are
Yeah,
and then price them accordingly,
okay.
I think.
well, I think we just have a straight fee. Oh, I know, we can't say erosion controls are $50 and this is 20, just, it's 100, if she has to go out or Taylor has to go out, I mean, our field inspector is out all day,
Okay.
right? And most of the time he's doing existing.
But that's what we want them
But
to
that's what we
do.
want 'em to
That's
do.
what we hired them to do.
Yeah, I know, but if.
We hired them to be out there all day.
Yeah, I know, but Al, if he comes out to your property and you say, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that, okay, I'll take care of it, and then next week he comes back and it's still the same.
Well, then I get a violation notice,
So-
and then you can start
I
fines
mean,
that way.
this is the stuff that I'm
If I'm
trying
not
to-
complying with what they are being told to do, I'm in violation and I'm subject to fines.
I mean, I don't have an issue with them not doing it, you know, they have to do their job. I mean, Amy's writing orders, answering the phone, you know, operating the conservation department. She shouldn't be out driving around looking at the same applicant for 6 weeks at a time.
Like I said, if an applicant is dominating their time, that then turns into a violation, which can turn into a fine.
All right, we'll do it this way. If we're not gonna do the site thing, you're gonna log on, if you go to Flagship 6 times in 1 week, the next meeting, you can update us,
Okay,
and then we'll
and then you decide.
act accordingly.
Okay,
Does that work?
yeah.
Because we gotta draw the line somewhere.
Well, I just want us to be careful where we draw the line,
Well,
because we can be perceived as money grubbers, and that
Yeah,
is not.
that's what this is beginning, I mean, I completely agree with the issue.
Yep.
I think the solution could be very treacherous for us. We've
The
been
ability
very
to-
successful in defending things, and I think this gets pretty shady.
The ability to determine a site as a trouble site, and that requires the attention from our administrator, should be considered a violation of the order of conditions. If she's making 3, 4, 5 trips back, which condition are they in violation of? What are they not complying with? Write a fine. We already have that ability, it's already understood, the courts have already upheld it. We don't have to plow up new ground doing it.
well, that's fine, but, so to document if you go to a site for 4 or 5 times in 1 week, or Taylor or whatever,
Yep,
the next time there's a meeting, hey, I went out to we went over the order conditions, we told them what they're doing wrong, they're still doing it anyways,
yeah,
and then we'll vote to
Yep.
institute fines, correct?
okay,
Correct.
all right,
And then we're covered.
that's cool.
Let's start there.
Let's start
All right,
there.
let's stop there.
Let's
start
start there.
All
If that
right.
doesn't work, we can always
Start
talk
there
about
and
it
stop
again.
there.
Okay.
Okay, all right,
Decision.
Decision.
I have the sewer rehab draft, and I have the 35 Hollow Tree Lane as well.
Yeah, all right, so the first one we'll do is 242-1833, Ipswich Street, Morningside, DPW, sewer improvement, or maintenance,
So Jack and Tony, you guys should have those electronically.
Yeah, I've got mine.
Okay,
So Lou had mentioned something in that last discussion we just had,
about, you know, the contractor not having these, or even the permit holder not necessarily knowing what it says. So it caused me to look at it. I'm shocked to say that nowhere in here do we say that you have a sign displayed, we say that the order should be recorded. There should be a condition in it here that says, and the order shall be on site.
does.
Responsible
Yes, we
adults
do.
should have it,
Where am I
yes.
finding that?
That's a great idea.
I thought it was in there, but I don't see it.
No,
It's not a standard condition?
I thought it
That's-
was, but it's
Oh, yeah.
not, but I'm not seeing it.
Hold on.
I thought that was a Mass DEP 1 through 20 type condition in the standard,
Yeah, it was stuff.
Hold on.
Or maybe it's before,
Right, for what we have here.
before
yeah, so
what we
I think
have.
that's a Mass DEP standard condition.
Got it. Okay, I apologize, I'm just looking at
I
what's
have it
before us,
too.
but you're right, there's 20 other conditions before this.
Right.
So they, a couple of communities I work in actually make, during the pre-con, they make the contractor performing the work initial every page
Yeah.
of the order, and then they keep it in the file of the city.
That's a good idea. You can do that on pre-construction, maybe.
Yeah. I can add it right now if you want.
Please do. Initial every page.
Yeah.
I like it.
Amy, I know the town's using Viewpoint, are we in conservation using
Yes.
Viewpoint? So they could literally, they could initial, within Viewpoint, the order of conditions, without actually doing it on site.
Yeah.
I mean, send them to
Yeah,
FEC,
they
but,
could upload it.
yeah.
Yes, they could upload it.
Make that a condition to schedule the pre-con.
Say that again?
If they can upload it, have them upload an initial copy to view permit as a condition to schedule the pre-con.
Okay. I'm not sure what type of online permits the sewer
All right.
would require though, but point taken for,
So, just trying to save you some time and
No, I get it.
paperwork.
So I did review this meeting remotely by watching the
Yeah.
video of it. We don't have any issue with the proposed work, except that some of the areas where the work proposed is in knotweed and in other invasive areas.
yep,
Anywhere in here, are we talking about how they handle and dispose of that material?
yep.
Where am I finding that?
$57.
57, I'm seeing it, thank you.
I have a question about 35. I don't know where you were going with it.
35?
It just said they really should go.
Oh, yeah, no. Disregard that. I just want to make sure you were reading the order. No,
All right.
that was a typo.
I think that's a fabulous condition. I think that should be a standard.
Yes, it was in there.
Nice pickup.
Motion to approve.
Second,
so-
you're
Bond, you got a question
Bond.
right there?
Yeah, I'm not.
5,000.
And I had a question too.
I do too.
Why don't we use that new bonding calculation we just learned? Let this be the first one.
Oh, I don't know that they're disturbing 10,000 square feet.
I was just gonna say, man,
No,
not in
yeah.
this instance.
No,
Okay.
what did I see there?
Amy, your page numbering's off too. It should be 5 of 12 or
Okay,
X of 12.
that's weird, okay.
We're doing fractions,
Oh,
5 of
yeah.
2.
Number 46,
Yeah.
Amy? 46?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, the wetland markers are on private property. We have wetland markers on private property anyways.
Well, I mean,
Usually
it's a-
the applicant.
I know, it's, right.
Well, you know, the thing of it is too, is that there's a roadway, and then there's a right-of-way. People that think that they're front yard goes to the street.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't. So,
I don't know.
what,
I don't know
what
how
they
you
might
guys
think
feel
is their
about
front
Put them
lawn.
up, put them
might-
up, and if there's any complaints, we'll handle them.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay. Okay,
Just put them up and see what happens.
yeah.
I'm gonna
Okay.
predict nothing happens.
Right,
Okay.
so we're all set. You're questioning the bond?
Many of these
No.
neighborhoods are long-established neighborhoods. They're just replacing infiltrating sewer lines.
right.
It's a town project. I've enjoyed mowing my backyard because I've lived there 40 years. And I've mowed even into the resource area, and I've been doing it forever. Now we're gonna put a marker in the backyard that's gonna, I just don't think it's
Well,
right. I don't think we need markers here. We don't require it when the gas company comes in or Verizon comes in.
So how about just markers where permissible? Just leave it at that.
I know Morningside could use them.
Just where permissible.
How about at the,
Flagship, no.
how about at the approval of the conservation administrator?
Sure, it just requires the administrator to be out there, which is what we were trying to reduce the trips, but, sure.
I mean, I can do that at the pre-construction meeting.
Okay, pre-construction, there you go.
There you
Beautiful.
go.
Solved.
Okay, so all set.
My motion stands.
Do we have a second?
My second stands.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed?
Aye. Aye.
And that's unanimous. And then we have an added one, do they have it, Tony and,
Yeah,
okay.
Yep.
so 35 Hollow Tree,
Hollow
I
Tree.
emailed that to,
1834 Hollow Tree Lane.
Does condition 32 apply, Amy, limited project provisions?
no, it was a
Strike that.
leftover.
Yeah, strike that.
Strike it, okay. So I did a bond of 2,500, 1,500 for the septic, and 1,000 for the restoration area.
Excellent. Perfecto.
You're getting good at this.
Phew!
Yep.
Woo-hoo!
Christ, I hope so.
Now, let's just finish reading this.
Yeah,
Now, they wouldn't get their bond until we had that resource area fixed, right?
right.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about this new calculation, you're gonna come up with some very unround numbers, aren't you?
Yeah, right.
As far as bond
I'm looking forward to the implementation right now.
Yeah.
in 75
5
cents.
cents.
All right, we do a motion for the, accept the,
So moved.
Second.
Is,
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
And that's unanimous.
We stand adjourned, thank you.
okay, we're
Do
all
we have any
set.
discussion on the oil
Thank you.
tanker?